Are you a good observer of people? This is really important, the concept of this video. It could possibly save your life someday, and it might make you a better witness if you witness the crime someday. Maybe you can help law enforcement put that bad person in jail. Think of the last person you came in contact with. That stranger. Maybe it was a cashier, maybe it was someone who was getting gas next to you, maybe it was someone at the mall, doesn't matter. The last stranger you were in contact with. Now 3 hours later, someone walks up to you and says, "Can you give me a complete description of that person? Facial features, color of their hair, the clothes they were wearing, their race, their height, their weight, everything about that person that you can possibly describe." Think of it. If you want to hit pause right now, you can do so. I'm going to tell you 2 true stories that happened to me. I did really bad on one of them. I witnessed the crime. I wasn't a good witness for law enforcement. And then in the second story, I did a lot better. So this is all about being a good witness and also observing people, especially their facial features. It might help save your life someday. Welcome to weaponseducation.com. All right, how did you do with that exercise? Think of the last stranger you came in contact with. Can you give a complete description of them? Their facial features, hair color, the race, height, weight, the clothes they were wearing. It's pretty important that you be aware of your surroundings like we talk about all the time, and that you really, if someone looks suspicious especially, you really take note, a mental note, as to what they're wearing, especially their facial features. Let me tell you my 2 stories and move on with the video. Okay, this is about 5 years ago. I'm walking to my office, and to get to my office from the front parking lot, I have to walk by a bank. I walk by the bank, and there's a thug type looking guy. He's pacing in circles. He looked nervous. I got my briefcase. I got a client waiting for me in the office. It was drizzling outside. I just wanted to get in my office. The last thing I was thinking about was observing this guy's facial features and things like that. And I was more thinking about just to get in my office and what was going on that day. But I saw this guy pacing in circles in front of the bank. I just walked by him. I knew I had my gun right here, ready to go if I needed it, and that was it. I get into my office. Within 3 minutes, this guy goes flying, running by my office towards the back parking lot. Like, what was that all about? Then simultaneously, the bank alarms go on. I realize the guy just robbed the bank. I open up the front door, look outside to see if I can see him, where he ran to. And I see him getting into a car, and then the driver peels rubber and takes off. So I was the first person to see him outside the bank, and I was the last person to see him outside the bank. All right? He pulls a strong arm robbery. Put a gun up to the teller's head ultimately. So now the detective comes to me after he interviews everyone at the bank, which is all the bank employees and also the customers at the bank. And of course the bank has video surveillance. So they had a pretty good look at the guy from the video cameras. Well, now it's my turn. I'm the last person for him to interview. And he goes, "All right, sir, what could you tell me about this gentleman? What did you notice about him?" I said, "All right, I think he was Mexican. I think he was wearing a hat." And the cop was like, "All right, well, what color was his hat?" I said, I think it was black. What else can you tell me about him?" "I think he was about 5'7", normal weight, and I think he was wearing blue jeans." I had too many I thinks because I wasn't observing him like I should have been. "All right. What can you tell me about the car that he jumped into?" That was important. They wanted to know that. I'm like, "Yeah, it was an older car. It was a beat-up 4-door, mid-size." I mean, it happened in such a flash, officer. I just saw him get into it looked like a mid-1980s dark-colored car. And the car peeled out. I only saw about 2 seconds of the car. All right, so you really don't know much about the car?" "No. I was a terrible witness. Terrible." Turns out they had the whole thing on video surveillance. The guy was wearing a purple hat. He was 5'8". He wasn't the height I mentioned. He was overweight. I said he was a normal build. He was wearing real baggy pants. I said maybe he had jeans. I was all over the board, and I was a terrible, terrible witness, to be honest. My mind was somewhere else. The car turned out to be a late model Nissan, but it was a beat up car. It was right at that, and it was all rusted up and stuff. But it was, I just didn't do a good job. That taught me a lesson. I was like, all right. By the way, they ultimately caught the bank robber on his next bank robbery about a week later, and he got arrested. It was all over the paper. He was wanted for like 8, 9 bank robberies. But anyway, all right, now next story. This goes back not that long ago, 5, 6 months ago from the timing of this video. And now because of the channel and because all the interaction with all of us, I've become, I think, a better citizen, civilian, and I think I'm more aware of my surroundings. I know I am. I'm way more aware of my surroundings than I've ever been because of the channel and because of that instance. And just because I'm getting older, I'm getting smarter and more aware. So now this story happens. I take my family, my wife and 2 young girls to a park. And the section of this huge park we're in was totally, totally empty. It was just us and a picnic bench, and no one else was even in sight. It was a weekday. The parking lot was empty in the spot we were at, except for my vehicle. And then this other vehicle pulled up maybe 30 spots away from my vehicle, maybe 100 feet away. I'm like, all right, I'm waiting for that family to get out and play. I'm kicking the ball around with my kids, and the guy never gets out of his car. So I thought that was strange. Why go to a park and just sit there and just sit in your car for like 20 minutes? Then I realized the guy's got binoculars, and he's staring at me and my family. And I'm thinking, all right, no, wait a minute, something's not right with this guy. My cell phone was in the car. It was only about 20 feet from my vehicle. So I said to myself, let me at least go get my cell phone in case something bad happens. I had my gun, but let me go get my cell phone. And as he sees me walking towards my car, he starts to make a U-turn and get out of the parking lot. I'm thinking, that guy is definitely up to something. I at least want to get his license plate. So I get in my car, and I only had to drive about maybe 100 yards. And he's scrambling to get out of the parking lot. And what I did was I grabbed my iPhone, and this time I'm a good witness. This time I said everything in the phone. This is the kind of car he's driving, Toyota Camry, late model, white. He had binoculars. He was staring down my family from this time, from 2 o'clock Eastern until 2:40. And I had all the details talked into my phone, so in case I forget. His license plate is so-and-so. I had it all in there. And then I took my phone and took a video of him scrambling out of there like a bat out of hell, trying to get out of the parking lot. And I got a little video of the car taking off. So I get back to my wife. The whole thing lasted like 2 minutes. I only had to drive not too far. I wouldn't leave my family alone. But I came back and told Tammy, I said, that was strange. The guy has binoculars. He sees me coming to my car. He bolts out of there. I got it all on my phone. I said, I think we should call police. She goes, yeah, it won't hurt. Who knows why that guy was stalking us? Is he some pervert or something? All right, it turns out, that's the whole story. It turns out he was on the registered sex offenders list. He's a pervert. I don't know if he was wanting to kill me, take the 3 girls. Who knows what it was on his mind. But the police were very appreciative of the complete description I had, the video I had, and ultimately, 2 days later, they went to his house and arrested him for being in a park near children, which, there's like a certain miles. They can't be within a mile of a park if you're on a registered sex offender list. You never, never, never know. So the whole theme of this video is, please observe people's facial features in particular if you can, if they look suspicious in any way, shape, or form. That's what law enforcement's going to want. I'm not a cop, I'm not an expert, but I've learned this. I come from a family of law enforcement. What they're looking for is like the distance from the eyebrow to the hairline, the cheekbones, the eye sockets, the race, of course. As much information about the face as possible is really what they want, because the person can always change clothes. You want to get the clothes and everything else, but they're really looking for that facial feature and a really good description. That way, if you have to, you can sit with an artist render type person, and they can make a picture of the person, and that way they can go after the bad guy. That's all I wanted to say in this video. Please throw in your comment if you've witnessed a crime. Were you a good witness, bad witness? Do you observe people? Do you look at their facial features? If they even look a little bit shaky? I do now, big time. If I'm in a convenience store, I'm looking at everyone's face. Everyone. I'm looking at their hand movements. And I'm not trying to say be a nervous Nelly, but I'm saying it could save your life and your family's life. Think about it. Observe people's facial features and their movements and what they're doing. Do they look nervous? There you go. That's all I want to say today. Thank you so much. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend. Bye-bye.